You're listening to the Confidence Within podcast. If you are a successful professional entrepreneur who is nonetheless struggling with the fear of public speaking, then you are in the right place. This podcast is all about igniting your inner confidence, learning to show up with genuine authority and brilliance, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Victoria Lesnyansky, and welcome to my show. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Confidence Within podcast. My guest today is Julianna Ricci. Julianna is a best-selling author and an acclaimed energy coach for clients ranging from CEOs to actors and musicians to social impact entrepreneurs. She helps your clients optimize their impact while growing the deepest and most powerful aspects of themselves. A scientist by training, Julianna merges the frontier of quantum physics with the new insights into the power of mindfulness. She has taught your energy coaching system to coaches and holistic practitioners in the US and Canada, and shares it with people around the world with her book, The Power of Practice. Julianna and I met a few months ago in Alabama on the set of an indie film called It's All Right Now, in which her older son and my younger son were actors. So we had lots of time to hang out and chat while our kids were filming, and we hit it off right away. Julianna's work and her book really fascinated me, and so I invited her as my guest to the podcast. Please welcome Julianna Ricci to the show. Hello, Julianna. I'm so excited you came to my podcast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm thrilled to be here. It's been fun chatting with you a little bit before we even got started. So
I know we almost forgot that we got together for the podcast.
You know it's good when that happens.
So true. So true. So I already introduced you to my audience, and I am so curious, and I know my audience is curious as well. How did you get into energy coaching from being a marine biologist?
It's such a great question. And sometimes I wonder that myself. Life is funny, right? When you live enough years, things take twists and turns. I would say that I always had something tapping me on the shoulder about, other almost quantum physics or other realms. I remember when I was in seventh grade, I wrote my grand English paper on ESP. And then the next year I did it on black holes. And there was nothing in my upbringing that would have, very, very straight-laced family. There was nothing that would have leaned me in that direction from that upbringing. So I think it was always in me somewhere that I had this interest in kind of the energy behind things, for lack of a better way of putting it. But I also love marine science and I love math. And so, that was kind of the track I took for the first 25 to 30 years of my life. But the whispers just were always there. And I finally took a Reiki class in my mid to late 20s. And I tell you, I would come home from my marine science job and I would just dig into further reading on this energy healing thing. And I laugh because the couple of books that I was reading or the introduction that I had were from scientists. I needed to kind of have that blessing almost of the quantum physics, quantum mechanics, in order to be able to loosen up, I call it the left brain, right brain divide, but to cross that divide and open my right brain that had kind of been shut down as a scientist or mathematician for those first 20 something years. So it's kind of a zigzag path, but really I say it just kind of, once I dipped my toe into that, it felt like I was in a river that just carried me away, and it was delightful. I'm glad I dipped my toe in, because it's been good ever since.
I am sure your clients are thrilled that you did that, because I know how many people you helped, how many people you not just helped, but truly changed the trajectory of their lives.
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. I think that's your gift. I have to say I loved reading your book. I took it with me on the trip and I was just reading and reading and reading. And it's funny, some books you read and you feel like you're reading a book. With your book, I felt like I was having a conversation with you. I felt like you were just chatting with me, because it's written in such a easy conversational tone. And it just called to me. I felt really good about learning from you and also cementing some of the things that I thought before I read your book myself. I'm like, okay, well, we absolutely agree on this. Oh, and we agree on this, and we agree on this. So that felt really great. So what prompted you to write this book?
By the way, thank you for saying that. I actually do get that from a lot of people, and people who know me, they're like, oh, I heard your voice in my head as I was reading it the whole time. What prompted me to write the book, when you and I were there were two pieces of it. When we were talking ahead of time, I said to you, one of the things that prompted it was not everybody can hire me as a coach. And that is always a little frustrating to me because I see the deep life changes that occur with my clients through the work that we do together. And I want to be able to gift that to everybody. And obviously that's not possible. And so one of the reasons for the book was for me to find a way to be able to share as much of that coaching process with people without having to have the one-on-one sessions. So that was kind of the left brain reason for doing it. But the right brain, the other piece of it was I just kept being pushed, pulled, nudged in that direction. Like it kept coming to me, like, you got to write this book. You got to write this book. And I kept being like, shush, I don't want to hear about it. Because I had a couple other manuscripts that I had written things in the past and they were just collecting dust on my bookshelf. So I was like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Like I kept being like, I'm not doing it. And then finally one day I was like, fine, if I do this, whatever that voice was, that thing was, will you just hush it? And it did, it had to get written. I felt like it was written through me. And to be honest, my writing process was getting up half an hour early. And with my computer in front of me and my eyes closed, I would just kind of download whatever came through. And I think that's one of the reasons it did feel so conversational, because I just wasn't trying to write. It was just coming through me.
Well, let's dive into your book, because I cannot wait to talk about it. The first thing that came to mind when I was reading your book is the law of attraction. You started talking about the law of attraction, and I don't think there is a person out there right now who doesn't know about the law of attraction. Mm-hmm. The Secret did its job, so people are very, mm-hmm. very familiar with the concept. Some people are applying it, some people think about it as woo-woo. So I'm just curious, can you talk about the law of attraction and why it wouldn't work for some people or in some instances?
Mm-hmm. It's funny because I was a secret baby. That's one of the ways I came into this. When I saw The Secret, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. And then I dug further into it and I was kind of hooked on it, and spent a lot, not hooked on The Secret, but really, again, bringing in that quantum physics element into the law of attraction, like thoughts become things, think and it shall, whatever, Think and Grow Rich, whatever all the books are that are out there. And they're wonderful because we aren't taught this growing up. We're taught Newtonian physics. We are taught, the one ball hits the other ball, A plus B equals C. We're not taught about the nuances that science now really upholds. And so I adore The Secret and the Law of Attraction for really popularizing these concepts in some ways. That said, they fall very short, because at the core, yes, I do believe that thoughts are the creative power of the universe, but it doesn't manifest in A plus B equals C time frame. It doesn't manifest even in A plus B equals C mechanism. So to put that in perspective, I might say, wow, I want the love of my life, and I end up finding a stray dog. Right? It's not like what I had visualized. Like I might have this visualization of what I think the love of my life is meant to look like and be like. And I could spend all this law of attraction energy visualizing and intending and calling it to me. But there's this other factor on an energetic level that doesn't, it's almost like dreamland. It's not a direct translation. It's more the essence of a thing. And so we expect, I'm calling in through law of attraction, I'm thinking about it, it's going to appear in the exact way, in the exact time frame that I'm intending. The mechanisms of the universe, which I of course don't claim to really understand, it just doesn't work that directly. That's ultimately the bottom line. We're working with quantum mechanics. It doesn't manifest in Newtonian ways.
You know, what's really irking me about some people applying the law of attraction is how they are applying it.
Mm,
I know of so many people who I don't think quite understand how it works. And the way they apply it is by dreaming. Oh, I
mm,
am visualizing. Oh, I am dreaming.
mm-hmm,
Or I am thinking of it all the time. But
mm-hmm,
is it enough to
mm.
dream and think?
It's funny. You reminded me of a part in the book where I realized that I had set the intention to uh, get in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no. I think the point was like, what in my life has changed? I've been doing this law of attraction. I've been, like intending all these things. Nothing has shifted except for I had succeeded with that. And I went, wait, and that's because I've been going to the gym 3 times a week for a year and a half. And that was like a light bulb moment for me, note the cover of the book. Because it was that element of taking action in the physical world must happen. We need to apply our own reality, which is a physical reality. We need to apply that element in addition to the intending and the thinking and the sitting on the couch waiting for Oprah to call. We make that joke, but the truth is it does take action in the physical world in order for manifestation to happen. Maybe not 100% of the time. Sometimes we luck out, sometimes it lines up. But in general, for those of us who are attempting to use these principles, we've just got to combine. Again, it's that left brain, right brain combination. It's the etheric, like out in the ether, and it's the physical world. It's combining the two together, which is really, I think I call it, the recipe for success.
Yes, that's exactly how
Yeah.
you call it in the book.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you, and I want to take it even further. Yes, one part of it is you dreaming big. The other part of it, you are actually acting in the physical world. But just acting is also not enough. And that's what your whole book is about. It's not just acting here and there. It's a consistent action over a long period of time.
Yes. And the bummer about all of this is we don't know the time frame. We don't know if it's going to take 6 months to manifest our dreams, or 6 years, or 6 decades. We don't, I mean, heck, I hope it's not 6 decades. Like, I'll throw that out there. But once you take your attention off of the thing, it starts to deteriorate again in this energetic substructure. And I say that that's woo-woo. I get it that it's woo-woo. I actually believe that it is the way that we operate. If thoughts are the creative substance of the universe, and of our experience, we are building in this substructure, this non-physical substructure, long before it can manifest in the physical world. So that's kind of a scientific and or woo-woo way of explaining, like, we do have to stick with things for a long enough period of time for them to be able to arrive in our physical experience. But I think we can all look at times in our lives where that is true. One of the other things I will add to that, though, is I think a lot of law of attraction, or, thoughts become things, we attach and hold really tightly to this dream. And that often closes down the pipeline. If we're that energetically tight about something, it closes down the pipeline of it arriving in our experience. So there's a lot to be said for, we're working hard towards it, we're committed towards it, but we're not strangling it.
Right.
It's the intent, and then release and let it, like, keep the thought on it to some extent, keep moving in the direction of it, keep taking actions in the physical world, but not,
Attach
it's
to
a weird
details.
balance.
Do not attach to details.
Exactly. Yes, because it might be it might not show up exactly as you're intending it. And so we have to have that level of flexibility and almost interpretation, and willingness to receive, and willingness to go with the flow. And, I return often to, it's all a balance, right? Because you do want to be precise. You want to have goals. You want to have them achievable. You want to be working towards each step. But there's also some value, a lot of value, in some looseness around that, some agility, some dexterity,
Right.
and not a super tight attachment.
Right.
So.
And I completely agree with this. In fact, I heard somebody describe this as, you have a dream, well, go towards your dream. Do everything that you can every single day. However, when you dream, do not dream of details of how you're going to get to that dream.
Oh, yeah.
Dream's a dream, but not how.
Let the how take care of itself.
Let the how take care of itself. As long as you're making those steps in that direction every single day. I think that's the key. Whether you think the whole thing is woo-woo, where you believe in it, where you don't believe in it, I think all of us need to really take this lesson to heart. Whether you believe in it or not doesn't matter. If you have a dream in life, just dream that dream. Just think about that dream. Just visualize the outcome, the actual dream. But don't get hung up on the details of how you're going to get to that dream, because that dream may seem completely impossible, and your how may be impossible too. You may not even decide how exactly you can get to that dream, but then things just line up in a funny way, and all of a sudden that dream is within your reach. It's like if you wanted to go somewhere, you want to go to, I don't know, to New York from Houston, where I live. It may be your dream to go to New York, but you don't need to sit and visualize how you are getting on a plane and flying, because maybe you're going to go by car, or maybe there's going to be some other way you're going to get there that you didn't even think of. So let the details take care of themselves. And I think that's very, very important for everybody to realize that the dream may seem impossible, but don't let it seem impossible. Just look to the next turn. Just go to the next boulder, to the next thing that you can see in your mind. Just go there. And you will figure out at the turn where to turn next.
Yes. Yes. You know, you hit on one of the key things that I feel like I was going to say that I've discovered over the past decade and a half of working with clients, but maybe it's always been in me. And I talk about it in the book, it's this concept of baby steps. Because and this is a lot of my coach training coming through, but while we want to challenge ourselves and we want to stretch ourselves, right? Because that's how we go somewhere new. You don't go somewhere new by doing the same thing that you have repeatedly done. So we want to challenge ourselves and push outside of our comfort zone a little bit, right? But if we try to push too far all at once, this is where it is my belief and my experience watching people, people can take a gigantic stretch for a short period of time. And then it's like the rubber band just kind of snaps back into the old way. But if we can take lots of little comfortable baby steps, like you said, get to that next boulder, and then the next step will appear, and then get to the next boulder, and then the step will appear. And also the boulder that you thought you were going towards might have a boulder kind of off to the side, or a new thing appear out of nowhere. And if all you're focused on is that one place that you thought you had to go, or the one how that you thought you were going to use to get there, you might be blind.
Right. And another thing that happens, somebody, again, dreams a dream, goes towards it, doesn't pay attention to details, doing everything right. And then something happens. There is a detour, there is a problem, there is a challenge, there is a turn in life that affects them to the point where they completely forget about their dream, completely forget about their journey. They fell off the wagon. And you talk about it in your book. What do we do?
I mean, in my book and in my life, I say, well, we accept that we fell off the wagon, and we say, oh, hey, I fell off the wagon, and we get back on. Because life is crazy. I mean, let's be honest. We've all gotten detours. We've all gotten a lot of big detours in the past few years. There's no way from having detours or falling off the wagon. You know, I think about people are, I used to meditate. I don't meditate anymore. I'm like, okay, but that doesn't mean you never will. And we put so much pressure on ourselves sometimes to do things perfectly, that if we're not doing them perfectly, or if we fall off the wagon, then we further injure ourselves by beating up on ourselves by saying, well, see, I can't even do that, or I'm so bad at this. No, you just pick yourself up and you're like, oh, hey, I fell off the wagon. Let me just hop back on. And I genuinely believe and have seen the gentler we can be about the looser we can hold onto things like that, the easier it is to get back onto the wagon or onto the horse, I think I probably say. And the more often we do that, the easier it is too, because we recognize, oh, hey, I've fallen off the horse before. I know I can get back on. And this applies to every aspect of life. It's not just meditating, you know, like a lot of people with the healthy eating, or with exercising, or just how they behave around a loved one, or how they parent, or, in your case, the work that you're doing with folks, they might be gung ho for a while and then they fall off the horse, but that doesn't mean they can't get right back on. It's still there. The work that they've done is still in them. And if they can just release the self-judgment or the self-criticism for falling off the horse and be like, oh no, this is a direction I still want to head in. Let me just hop right back on. That is I don't want to say it's a winning attitude, because that sounds like judgy. But it really is, because we all are going to fall off. It's just real. And I tell you, the people who never fall off, the amount of energy it must take to never fall off, that's rough. And to be so solid all the time that you're never going to fall. Like, falling is just a natural part of it all.
Right. And I think it gives you strength. Ultimately, in the long run, if you make a mistake, if you do something that, and I don't necessarily believe in mistakes, I think it's all a lesson, really. But at the time, it feels like, oh, I just made such a big mistake. Oh, what did I do? And then you kind of lose direction, you lose the dream, you lose where you were going, and I think the self-criticism, self-judgment gives us more trouble than actually the actual act of making a mistake, because you learn from it, you go back up, you continue going towards your dream. But you affect yourself with blaming yourself, with putting blame on yourself, on others, of trying to think, oh, what if this hasn't happened? You are wasting so much energy on things that you can't change, whereas the only thing that you can change is your own behavior and how you dream and where you're going with that dream.
100%. I often look at life and individuals as, a certain amount of core energy that we have inside of us. And to your point that you're just saying, if we're doing the self-blame and the self-shame, I see it as like stealing more of this energy from ourselves. Like, we are doing it to ourselves, and we dig away some of that strength that we have, the more we do the self-blame and the self-shame. So now we've put ourselves in an even worse position to be able to move forward, because we don't have that core energy, that core strength to be moving. So if we can just press pause on the shame, the blame, I'm not, like, I can't believe I did that, or I fell off the horse, or whatever the thing is, that it does not, it takes away from us. And I understand some people oddly maybe think that it's the carrot or the stick, and like the stick has, that like beating something to make it go forward rather than enticing it to go forward. I'm not a big fan. I'm going to be honest. I'm not a big fan, because I don't think it's not a heartfelt motivation. It's not an internalized motivation. It's not a empowering motivation. When we try to treat ourselves that way, or other people treat us that way, it doesn't really ultimately work. It's not a sustainable change. It is, you're doing it because of a should. One of my favorite sayings is, don't should on yourself, because it's just an external pressure that is not ultimately your own power being stronger.
Right. I really like that. Don't shoot on yourself.
I know.
I should do that a lot, and
there's
everybody else around me.
It's so funny. I have a number of clients who was like, "Oh, I hear you in my head. I said I need to do this. I should do that," because they know, one of those are less powerful words than I intend to, or I'm going to, or I want to. I have to, I need to, I should. Those are all kind of like, you can see somebody wagging their finger at you. You have to do that. You need to do that. I know you were talking before we started about the concept of, just inner strength and confidence. And I think that's, those are the little tweaks that really add up over time with people, to just kind of notice how we are treating ourselves with our own tapes that play over and over, the self-talk, and how we handle us. It matters.
And this is a great segue into building unshakable self-confidence, because on this podcast, the podcast is called Confidence Within. It's all about building that unshakable self-confidence that you can carry with you, and you can summon that confidence whenever you need to. You don't need to be confident 24/7. I don't believe in that, but you need to be able to summon that confidence whenever you need to. And it plays such a huge part in our dreams and our goals and how we go after our goals and our dreams. For the most part on this podcast, I've been talking about the confidence within and how it applies to speaking publicly, because this is what I coach on. But I want to take advantage of having you here as my guest, and I want to talk about confidence within as it applies to having the confidence to go after your dreams. Not just to dream. We all have confidence to dream, but having confidence to dream big and to go after our dreams. Can you talk about how to build that kind of confidence that can help you go and reach the goals, or go after the job that you always wanted, or start a business that you were always afraid to start, but this is your dream? Can you talk about that?
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like there are a number of ways to approach that question, right? There's the almost a quicker access, like a quicker to access confidence of, what do I have to lose, right? Or I want this thing so much, the ultimate pain or sorrow or loss of not moving in that direction is too much. It's more than the fear of moving in that direction, right? When you get to that point where you're like, I want this, so I'm so hungry for this thing, or I have faith that like in this lifetime, I'm allowed to move toward the thing that I want. Like, to me, that's those are real, and they're sincere, and they're relatively easy to access. And the other piece that was coming to me as you're talking is the type of training I did, coach training. The certification I got was called Core Energy Coaching, and it was based on a scale, an energetic scale from 1 to 7. And I'll just go through this real quickly. And for those of your listeners who are more visual, I think of it as like the colors of the chakra. So I think of the number 1 being red, kind of down at the root chakra, for those who are familiar with that. But level 1 energy is the lowest of the energies. And these are the internal energies. As you said, like, we're never all like, we don't 24/7 have ultimate confidence. We come in and out of these energies throughout the day and throughout the months and the years. And the trick is, how do we tap into the ones that we need when we need them? And how do we be the masters of that rather than them being the master of us? I think most of us we go through a lot of our days unconsciously at the whim of our energy, rather than us deciding which energy we're going to tap into. But real quickly, the different, I think being aware of the framework helps us kind of assess where we're at and move toward a more confident energy. So level 1 energy is victim energy. It's like, none of this is, it's not my fault, it's being done to me. It's, it's like really disempowered. Level 2 energy is anger. And it's a lot, you can just feel when you think about moving from a victim energy into an anger energy, there's more chutzpah in it, right? There's like, you just have more vigor. And so it is a little bit higher energy, but because it's fairly negative, it ultimately is not an empowering energy, right? And if we're talking about confidence, the deeper version of confidence, to me, that's having this deeper power inside of ourselves. That's, it's a longer, little bit of a longer road, I think, because it's making some very core fundamental changes. So, and then the level 3 energy is kind of complacency. Like, I can handle whatever is happening. It might not be my favorite, but I'm good. And I think a lot of us, I know I spend a lot of time there. It's not necessarily super motivated, but it's not angry or victimized. It's like, okay, this is what it is. I can do this. And then level 4 energy is kind of the healing energy, where it's like, I really want to put my effort into helping others. And obviously you and I are sharing some of that because we're doing this kind of thing. And then level 5 energy is one where it's like, I don't win unless you also win. And it's the concept of the rising tide lifts all boats. And not very often in the world do we see people implementing this. I for those of us who are aware, yes, but in general, I think a lot of the sense is, well, I really want to win. And some people in the level 2 energy are going to be like, I only win when you lose, like that is their win. And then level 1 energy is I never win. It's like so victim-y. But level 5 energy is like, look, I win best if you also win, because then our 2 combined wins creates not even just double that, but exponential that. And then you get to level 6 and level 7 energy, which is like, there is no winning and losing. It's all one. It's like really kind of esoteric up at those higher levels. But to me, the big shifts in confidence really come when we start doing that level of energetic awareness / choosing / shifting. Even just having a basic understanding or basic concept of like, oh, angry energy actually deteriorates me. Regardless of what it does to the other people that I think I might be like sticking it to, it actually deteriorates me if I'm experiencing angry energy. And there might be times where I'm like, I don't care because I'm so angry. I'm just going to be angry right now. But I can recognize that's for 5 minutes. And then I'll go choose a different energy level. And when we can really start being that reflective and choosing how to lead our own inner energies, that's where the sincere, deep shift in confidence comes from, because we can say, whoa, I'm feeling level 1, like I'm feeling very victim-y right now. What if I could apply some level 4 energy? And we start caring for self in that deep, profound way. And that shift ultimately just reverberates from the inside. It fills all the way to through our being and into everything that we touch. There's many ways to shift our levels of confidence. Some of them are quicker access and some of them take a little bit longer, but they all lead us toward a more full life, really.
So Julianna, tell my audience how they can learn more about you, how they can reach you, and how and where they can purchase your book.
Absolutely. Thank you. jriccienergy.com, that's JRICCI energy.com is my website. You can get the book on Amazon. You can get it locally if you are in the Rhode Island area, but I don't know how many of your listeners are in the Rhode Island area. And you can always contact me at jriccienergy.com. And I love hearing from folks. I love this work. I was so, as I said, kind of just drawn into it. It carried me away in it. And anytime I can help somebody as they move towards their dream, or even, just make some shifts in their life from wherever they are right now to something better, it really genuinely feels like my honor each and every time. So I would be happy to hear from you. I always say, you can buy a purse or you can go on a vacation, but you don't make the life changes with those things that you do by investing in coaching. And I know this feels so salesy to me to even say out loud, but it is true. When I look at the different investments, I marvel at why are we willing to spend on these random external things, but we all really are doing that just because we want to be happier. And then here's the process that actually, like, you helping people towards their dreams. Like, what is better than that? That is what we're all really aiming toward in the first place.
Yes, I love that. Well, Julianna, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming to my show. I'm so happy that you shared your wisdom, that you shared your knowledge, you shared your expertise, and I cannot wait to connect with you again.
Thank you so much. This was delightful.
Thank you. There you have it. I hope this conversation inspired you to reevaluate where you are, refocus, regroup, and go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Make sure to grab Julianna's book because it will honestly help you navigate the journey and stick with it when it gets hard. And as always, if you need help overcoming the fear of public speaking and developing unshakable speaking confidence, then go to www.brilliantspeakersacademy.com to learn more about my coaching program. I'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.